Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. It's been feeling like over the last few weeks, everywhere I look on the internet, there have been subtle whisperings of the beginning of autumn. Now that's got me super excited. I've already started a lot of my more autumnal knits. However, it has also got me thinking about how I like to style some of my kind of favourite pieces for the end of summer when the evenings are getting a little bit cooler, all the way through into autumn and kind of the arrival maybe even of winter. There are several garments that I've made over the last couple of years which are really very versatile, and I like to style them in different ways depending on the weather and the season. So I thought it would be fun today for me to show you a couple of the different ways that I like to wear some of my favourite pieces, while also offering you some adjacent inspiration for new patterns you might like to try out. Just, kind of giving you examples from my wardrobe of versions that I've already made and pairing that with new patterns, several from kind of new to me designers who I am really excited about chatting about. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first category of patterns I want to chat to you about today is kind of broadly termed light layers. And I would class what I'm wearing today as kind of belonging to that category. And what I mean by that is jumpers that aren't kind of really thick. Maybe they're knit in lighter or more drapey fibres. I'm thinking about kind of mohair or silk, just stuff that breathes and that can be quite airy and can be layered and paired with a lot of different things. The piece that I'm wearing and styling here is my Soumine sweater by Aegyo Knit. I created this in a mixture of merino wool and then lines of just cashmere, mohair and silk. This translucent effect is not only extremely beautiful, but I do find it allows a lot of breeze to kind of pass through this sweater, which makes it suitable for the end of summer, not only kind of autumn or when it isn't really cold yet. When it's warmer, I'll wear it just on its own, maybe with a pair of jeans and some cute earrings. However, as it is quite light, it does fit really well under a lot of my jackets and blazers. I particularly love wearing it in autumn, paired with this velvet corduroy jacket from Suzanne. I love this kind of black and brown colour combination. And I will of course link all of these outfit details for you and all of the patterns so that you can find out more. And as previously mentioned, when I think about light layers, I am thinking about silk mohair. So I had to include this first pattern because I just think it is such a perfect example of how using a fibre that has a lot of drape and a lot of airy softness can make garments that are really structurally interesting and would only really work in such a light and kind of beautiful fluffy fibre. And this is the Joo Sweater by November Knits. Now, I was immediately drawn to the absolutely gorgeous kind of bell-shaped sleeves of this piece. They look so light and like they would just let a lot of breeze in, so perfect for that kind of transitional dressing when you want to maybe wear a jumper but you're not completely committed to the idea of something really tight or really fitted around your arms. I also like that the designer said that these were inspired by the traditional Korean dress. I can totally see the inspiration there, and I just think that that is a really cool little detail. The Joo Sweater Light is a lighter mohair version of her original Joo Sweater, which is also really beautiful. Both of them share a gorgeous kind of raglan detail knit down kind of from the top. This is one of my favourite constructions. It is just such an easy and effortless kind of seamless knitting experience. So looking at this piece, I can already tell that not only would I love to wear it, but I would also really enjoy knitting it. I also really like her colour choice here. This is sort of like a matcha green. It's very cute, but I think if I made it, I might go for something like a burgundy or maybe a deeper bottle green. I think both of those would be really nice, especially as this is a piece that I imagine wearing when I want to wear kind of lighter, slightly more sophisticated piece of knitwear. Maybe if I'm going out for drinks, something that just makes me feel elegant while still wearing my hand knits. The Joo Sweater Light comes in a total of 8 sizes for a 106 to 161 centimetre bust. As I've just shown you a kind of more classic raglan construction, I wanted to throw in a slightly kind of more like wildcard option I couldn't resist adding this in because I don't think I've seen a jumper with this level of kind of polished finish executing this idea. Now obviously the standout feature of this gorgeous little sweater is its absolutely enormous, elegant and feminine bow down the front. I am already a lover of this sort of shirt when it comes in like a cotton or a silk, and I never thought that I would see a version knit that would look so clean and polished. As with the previous sweater, this is knit up in 2 strands of mohair yarn. This could be a lovely one if you want to experiment with a slightly kind of softer or more expensive mohair. I know that knitting kind of a strand of mohair with a strand of merino can get quite pricey when you're buying so much kind of different quantities of yarn. But I do find that double knitting with mohair can be something that's really rewarding because you're creating a texture that is very different from anything else. It's light, but it's warm, and it still has a kind of breeze and softness to it. The particular attention to detail around the bow on the front is what makes this really, really perfect. And I like the fact that I think that you could easily get away with wearing this to an office or again a more formal kind of scenario, and it doesn't immediately scream homemade knitwear. The drape around the shoulder is also to blame for that because I just think the way that it hangs in this beautiful yarn is just immaculate. I can also envision myself maybe pairing this under a cute blazer with a matching pair of trousers if I wanted to look really quite dressed up. I think that this would really work for a multitude of occasions, and again, I just don't think I've seen any other version of this look this crisp. The Betty comes in a total of 8 sizes from an extra small to a 4XL. As we move into my second grouping of knits, I want to show you a couple of different outfits and ways that I style one of my all-time favourite pieces of knitwear. This is the Tonight top by designer Lily Kate Makes. So many of you, if you're regular subscribers, will have heard me yap on about this forever. I love this sweater vest. I just love it. I wear it constantly. I just think it goes so well with so many things. So my first version of the outfit here is just worn sleeveless, completely on its own, with a cute black bag. This is my bag from Gomme, and I'm pairing it with a classic pair of trousers from Uniqlo. This is something that I would wear just kind of running errands, but I also think that it looks nice enough that you could wear it to go out in the evening, maybe for dinner. And my second option for styling this for when we transition into the colder months is just to pop a light cotton button down underneath. You could also go for a black t-shirt. I have worn it like that several times and it looks equally cute, but I just love the way that the white button down looks with this gorgeous alpaca grey yarn. As I've shown you my super classic Tonight top, I wanted to give you some other options for sweater vests that are slightly different, but still I think would pair very well with other pieces or just be very beautiful worn on their own. And my first slipover or sweater vest is the Conway Slipover by the Knit Purl Girl. Now, this beautiful garment was named after the kind of natural beauty and the landscape of Welsh waterfalls. That is such a lovely kind of name for this, as the centre cable is kind of reminiscent of that flowing waterfall all the way down. I particularly love how the beautiful cable provides a very simple but really striking centre point for this sweater vest, and the precision of the ribbing on smaller needles just really finishes it off. When you see kind of simple but really effective details like this one, they immediately kind of capture my attention, and I think that they make them stand out. I also think that this could be a fun opportunity to practice cabling. If you're a complete kind of cabling beginner, there's only one, so you wouldn't have to worry. It would be nice and simple for you. The yarn used in the sample of this slipover is a beautiful combination of non-superwash DK wool held together with a strand of silk mohair. And I particularly love the look of this kind of heathered and slightly rustic yarn. I feel like natural fibres that have a lot of variegation in them are really lovely for classic pieces like this, especially when you're knitting something textured like cables. I find that they add a little bit of dimension that really allows the texture to pop and stand out. Cable aside, I really enjoy how this design includes a lot of really thoughtful and super wearable details. I like the fact that the fit is baggy, but not overly so, in a way that could look kind of slightly scruffy or sloppy. It has just that perfect fit and perfect length of the armhole. It can be difficult when you spend so much time knitting and you don't get the exact fit that you want. So looking at the details on the Ravelry page, it looks like the designer has paid lots of close attention to that. And for my size, which is kind of between a small and medium, this pattern only calls for about 600 meters of DK weight yarn. I would be tempted to go for that if I didn't want to add a strand of mohair. That may also make it a little bit more wearable just on its own. But either way, I think that you would end up with a garment that would be a real kind of beautiful staple in your wardrobe. The Conway Slipover comes in a total of 12 sizes for a 75 to 155 centimeter bust. As I've just given you an option of a classic vest with a little bit of cable detail, I also wanted to go for something slightly different that you could style in a few different ways. So the pattern that popped to mind immediately was the Roma Vest by Mochi knits. I have had my eye on quite a few of the patterns by this designer, and I just really like how from afar this looks like a simple and really well finished ribbed vest. However, the texture on this piece is not actually created by ribbing, it is created with a slip stockinette stitch. So that is quite a clever kind of little choice by the designer that will also save you some time if you're like me and you kind of hate purling. As the Roma vest includes a button band with buttons down the front, that also means that you can wear it open as seen in the sample here. I really enjoy the styling of this piece just open with a t-shirt underneath and a cute little neck scarf. I think that that looks very sweet, and I think it would be perfect for when the weather just gets a tiny bit colder. So the very end of summer, I would definitely wear this outfit. I also think that this Roma vest offers you chances to go for a pop of colour like the designer has here. This would also look great with a long sleeve t-shirt paired underneath. Or when it gets really, really cold, you could wear it open and then wear a thin kind of merino or cashmere jumper, and it would have a sort of gilet effect. Just like the last slipover, this is also a DK weight pattern, and I don't know about you, but I am a huge fan of DK weight knits. They kind of hit that sweet spot between the really fine gauge knitting and then the thicker, more kind of Aran weight knitting. I just love them, and I find that they're often ones that I reach for the most. The Roma vest comes in a total of 8 sizes for an 82 to 128 centimeter bust. For my third set of knits, I am going to be styling something which is a little bit more appropriate for kind of early autumn going into winter, because it's a bit on the thicker side, but still a really awesome transitional piece that can be worn in a variety of ways depending on what the weather calls for. And this is my Beatrix Cardigan by Gregoria Fibres, knit in this beautiful mixture of wool and chocolate mohair yarn. For early autumn, I would probably just pair this with a t-shirt and a pair of jeans. This white t-shirt is one that I have loved for several years. It's washed and worn so well, and it is just the basic Uniqlo U t-shirt. But if I was going to wear this in the winter, I would probably pair it with a thermal underneath and wear it more like a kind of sweater in itself. So rather than wearing it as an alternative to outerwear when it's a little bit warmer, when we're going into kind of deep, proper, like late autumn and early winter, I would wear this with a coat or a jacket, and I would just wear it paired with a thermal. For my first pattern idea that I think that you could also wear as a great option instead of outerwear, I came across this lovely piece called the Hanni cardigan by Knitters and Friends. The Hanni cardigan is a simple O-neck cardigan with ultra thick ribbing that feels very sort of pared back, minimal and on trend. This is worked up in Sandnesgarn Peer Gynt with their mohair held together. I really like Sandnesgarn Peer Gynt. I think that whenever I see a piece in it, it just looks so lush, and I do have some of it in my own stash at the moment, just waiting for the right project. And as previously mentioned, when it isn't really cold yet and you're kind of at the beginning of autumn, I would wear this as an alternative, as a sort of unstructured jacket. However, when the temperatures really drop, I think that this particular cardigan looks really, really good, kind of buttoned all the way up to the top, maybe worn under a big oversized trench. Although the silhouette of this cardigan is a real kind of classic and simple design, The elements like the thick 2x2 ribbing on 3mm needles just give it that extra polish that also feels very modern and very fresh. I've seen a lot of girls on Instagram styling similar pieces to this one and they just look so cute. The sleeves also mirror the baggy and kind of comfortable fit of the rest of the cardigan, and that I really love that. I like the fact that they don't really go in at all but are just wide and look really cozy. I think that way you could also pair kind of a long sleeve t-shirt underneath and you wouldn't feel too restricted. I was also really happy to be able to share this as it is from a new to me designer. I think I may have seen one of her kind of head accessories on Instagram, but this one I just really loved. I think that a lot of you might really enjoy this, and I feel like there are so many ways that you could style this that would make it a real workhorse in your wardrobe. The Hanni cardigan is knit with a recommended ease of around 30 centimetres, so that is a generous amount of kind of oversized sort of slouchiness, and it comes in a total of 5 sizes for a 110 to 150 centimetre finished bust. Now, my second option is one which is for those of you that are thinking, I don't really fancy just a straight stockinette cardigan. I've got you, and if you're looking for texture, you will not be disappointed. This is the Baguette Jacket by Soumine Kim. Now, this designer is somebody who I have had my eye on and been following for quite a few months now, because every time I stumble across one of her designs, I am just in awe of how sort of beautiful and particular they are. The Baguette Jacket is a classic Aran sort of all over cabled piece. It's super squishy and lush and looks like it would be extremely thick and warm. I enjoy the mix of kind of classic cabling in this, as well as some more modern or interesting kind of wavy design that mirrors down the button band. I think that this makes the buttons really stand out as the centre of this piece, but the button band itself is just so perfectly finished. Although this is an Aran weight garment, it's actually knit down on much smaller needles, and I'm a huge fan of doing this. I believe fully in swatching for the fabric that you want rather than trying to meet some arbitrary gauge. So sizing down with your needles allows you to get a much thicker and kind of more structured fabric. This would mean that this can be worn definitely more as a jacket, not just as a cardigan, because you are getting that kind of heft and chunkiness that you would need from something that you'd want to use as outerwear. And since we're talking about gauge and fabric, the actual yarn used in this is listed on Ravelry as a bulky weight, so you're definitely going to be getting a thicker and squishier fabric. Like with the Beatrix cardigan that I styled earlier, this would look so good just with a classic t-shirt and jeans, but I also think that you could button it all the way up, like with the Hanni cardigan, and you would have something that was kind of in place of a usual bulky sweater. The Baguette Jacket currently comes in a total of 4 sizes. As I've just shared some chunky and super snuggly alternatives to outerwear, I thought it would be fun to go for something a little bit lighter and a little bit quicker. So this category is one that will come as no surprise to many of you, and it is mini scarves. You may have seen that I shared a few pictures of myself styling my Peacock Scarf, which is my most recent addition to my quite extensive kind of mini scarf collection. The Peacock Scarf is knit up in this lovely cream yarn, and I like to wear it kind of styled in my hair. It keeps my hair out of my face, and it just has a real kind of cool laid back feel when I pair it with an oversized button down like this one from Cezanne and these cute pair of Capris. However, small scarves are great because you can wear them not just wrapped kind of in your hair in the summer, but also transitioning into autumn. You can put them around your neck as a little kerchief, or you could even tie them onto your bag. These are some of the other scarves that I use for these purposes. You have this cabled one, which is my Victoria scarf, and this other one that I designed, which is my Camille scarf. I really like wearing the Camille kind of with matching tones in my jacket and jumpers, so navy and sort of camel. And my Victoria scarf looks really pretty, kind of splayed out over the back of any jumper. My first pattern option for summer to autumn scarves is a new one from the designer Maria's Verdun on Instagram, and this is the Marielle scarf. She has very recently released a Marielle jumper, which is a pontille inspired beautiful piece that has yarn overs all over it. It's very dainty and very feminine, and I think that the scarf is a perfect summer knit. Created by knitting from the middle out, I really like that the Marielle scarf features visible kind of increases as well as the pontille yarn overs. I think that that is very pretty, it's very textured, and it creates a lot of visual interest in what is otherwise a very simple piece. As you only need really tiny quantities of yarn for a scarf like this, it gives you an opportunity to experiment with new fibres that you might not have tried before. I think that you could easily knit this up in something like a cotton if you wanted the summery version. However, if you wanted more drape, something like a merino could also be really nice. It's also a great one for stash busting. Now the pattern itself comes in 3 different versions. You have 2 sizes for a bandana and 1 for a neck scarf. And one of the big differences is that if you want to wear it in your hair, the instructions do provide an option for you to knit I-cord kind of strings. That way you can easily tie it under your hair and you won't get too much extra bulk. The designer has knit her sample here in a fingering weight and lace weight silk mohair. You could easily of course omit the mohair and just go for 1 strand of yarn, but I do love how it gives it a very uniform and fuzzy all over halo texture. As previously mentioned, the Marielle scarf comes in a total of 3 sizes with options for wearing it as a bandana or as a neckerchief. My other mini scarf is also from a newer designer, and this is the Ivy scarf from Cookie the Knitter. Now, Cookie the Knitter has reached out to me on Instagram. She is also a knitter based in Italy, so it was really nice to hear from her. And I really admire all of the work that she's been putting into her newer designs. The Ivy scarf is one that I just really wanted to share with you because I think it's great. It gives you the convertible options just like the last one. The Ivy scarf is an all-over lace piece, so a really nice option for practicing a little bit of complex lace work. But the reason why I was so attracted to it is because the pattern gives you options for making a triangle kind of classic shape scarf, or a piece that is a little bit shorter and a bit less pointy that you can just wrap a few times around your neck. This is really useful for people that don't want too much bulk at the back and kind of just want to wear it almost as a little tie. Overall, I think that the Ivy scarf by Cookie the Knitter is just a really lovely option to make a smaller lacework piece. There are many different ways that you could style it, and I think that it will look lovely in your hair in the summer, just like the last one, or all the way through into the autumn and winter when you want something a little bit smaller around your neck. The Ivy scarf comes in a total of 3 sizes, 2 for a standard triangular scarf, and then an extra one if you want the kind of more blunt square edge neckerchief version. And that wraps up my list of transitional kind of summer into autumn knits. I hope that you enjoyed seeing how I personally wear some of my versions of these pieces. I hope that my pattern recommendations have also given you a little bit of inspiration. I, for one, cannot wait for autumn to finally begin. All of my autumn projects are kind of on my needles, they're ready to go, and I just cannot wait for it to be finally cool enough to wear all of my jumpers. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of summer and have a wonderful time getting in a little bit of holiday knitting. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!